So what were the series of events that created the so-called perfect storm for rebel factions in Syria to overthrow the Assad regime? And does the collapse mean the end of the axis of resistance against Israel? Joining me now to discuss his insights is Daniel Pipes, author, historian, and president of the Middle East Forum. Daniel Pipes, thank you so much for joining.
My pleasure.
Daniel, what were some of the elements of this seemingly perfect storm that has emerged for the rebel factions to succeed in overthrowing longtime leader there, Bashar al-Assad?
Well, three things came together. The Russians focused on Ukraine, the Iranians weakened by their connection to Russia and their fighting with Israel, and thirdly, of course, the Israeli devastation of Hezbollah, one of the main factions supporting Assad on the ground. So the three supporters of Assad are all distracted or weakened, and the Turkish-backed HTS, Hayat Tahrir Sham, thought it was the right moment to go ahead, and they've been waiting for this moment, and they picked the right time, and it was extraordinary. In something like 10 days, it went from a tiny corner of Syria to take over much of the country, not all of it, but a great deal of it.
Now, Iran has suffered a series of defeats over the past few years, from the U.S. killing of General Soleimani in 2020 to Israel's killing of Iranian and Hezbollah senior leaders. Now the situation we're seeing in Syria unfolding. Are we perhaps seeing the end of this sort of axis of resistance in the Middle East?
The Iranian axis of resistance has certainly taken a bunch of body blows, and it might not survive. You could be correct. On the other hand, Turkey, rogue Turkey, Turkey once a close ally, is now going very strong. And I worry that Turkey is a more powerful state than the Iranian government, and that the Turks are more clever than the Iranians when it comes to the Islamist ideology. And now they have a winning force in HTS, and that they now have an opportunity in Syria to build the kind of extremist government that Recep Tayyip Erdogan, the president of Turkey, has not been able to build in Turkey, because Turkey's hemmed in by institutions that are about a century old. But in Syria, it's anarchy. And the Turks dominate, and I worry that we will be nostalgic for the battle days of Bashar al-Assad when we see what comes. Now, it could be that the HTS has reformed, as it claims to have done, that it's no longer the extremist movement that it once was, associated with al-Qaeda, but I wouldn't put my bets on that. I think that's a charm offensive, and we're in for big trouble. So I'm more pessimistic than optimistic. Even though it's great to see the Iranians push back, I worry about the Turks push forward.
Now, for its part, Israel has been striking and destroying strategic capabilities in Syria over the last few days. The Israeli defense minister today saying its military has destroyed Syria's navy overnight. How significant is it that Israel is seizing this opportunity at this given moment?
The Navy, and also, according to the Israelis, the Air Force. In one sense, this is striking, to watch a significant power of the Middle East just not have a military. On the other hand, it is part of a larger trend, which is that the Arab states, which were the main enemies of Israel decades ago, are no longer enemies of Israel. Not Egypt, not Saudi Arabia, not Jordan, not Syria, not Lebanon. These are really not major factors. It's Iran, it's Turkey, it's the Islamists worldwide, it's the global left, but not the Arab states. So the Israelis have taken the opportunity to destroy the offensive capabilities in Syria. But once things sort out in Syria and a new government emerges, I don't think the Israelis will have this kind of free hand. And if my worries are correct, that HTS is very radical, and also under the influence of the Turkish government, I think we'll see a significant power emerge. As I said before, the battle days of Bashar al-Assad will look pretty good compared to the even worse new days of HTS and Turkey.
Syria was the only Arab country really to back Iran during its war with Iraq in the 1980s under Assad's father. Iran reciprocated by supporting Syria financially with weapons in its civil wars throughout the years. Why Iran is distancing itself from Assad now is a question. And what does this mean for that decades-long friendship between Syria and Iran?
I don't know that the Iranians have much of a choice, but to distance themselves from their losing partner, who's now somewhere in Russia, they need to make amends and try and find friends in the new crew. The Russians are doing the same. They start from a very weak spot, but you and I would do the same if we had such a tremendous defeat. This is a big defeat for Iran, no doubt about it. And there might well be factions in the Iranian leadership that say, we have enough problems at home. We've got economic problems. We've got, this is an empire, this country of Iran. And we need to worry about the majority of the population that's not even Persian. We need to worry about all sorts of things, about the disaffection from our brand of ideology, our Islamism. Let's cool it internationally. Let's pull back. We're not going to destroy Israel anytime soon. We're not going to take on the United States. Let's focus on our domestic issues. Let's leave the international arena for a while. I think it could well be such a faction, and it would have persuasive arguments, particularly at a time when the Iranian leader, Ali Khamenei, is apparently sick and weak, and who knows how long he'll be around. So it's a time for retrenchment, I would say.
President of the Middle East Forum, Daniel Pipes, really appreciate your insights.
Thank you.